welcome to the In the Beginning Incubator webinar. We're thrilled to have you join us for this special event where we celebrate the journeys of ambitious entrepreneurs who have turned their visions into reality. Join us every Tuesday as we spotlight incredible clients who have navigated the entrepreneurial landscape and emerged victorious. Each session is more than just a conversation. It's an opportunity to learn firsthand from business owners who have faced challenges, embraced innovation, and achieved remarkable success. Whether you're launching a startup, scaling your business, or refining your strategy, these webinars will provide you with practical advice and real-world knowledge to guide your path forward. Stay engaged and get ready to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit. This is your chance to connect, learn, and grow with a community of like-minded visionaries. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our host for this powerful series, Mr. Christian Johnson, the Chief Strategist Officer of In the Beginning Incubator. As a seasoned business strategist and mentor, Mr. Johnson has played a pivotal role in guiding entrepreneurs through the complexities of business ownership. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Christian Johnson.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christian Johnson. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for In the Beginning Incubator and Fund. We are joined today by our wonderful CEO. We have a lot of new information that we're going to be sharing today. Today's webinar is not a client highlight, but it kind of technically it could be. We're our own clients, but no, we have Miss Evelyn Johnson, the CEO of In the Beginning Incubator, and we have some great news. We have some great information that we're going to be sharing. We have some great events coming up and some information that we all believe are important for entrepreneurs, but not only just entrepreneurs, just anybody who wants to move forward and doesn't know the next steps of how to move forward. We have information for them. So, Ms. Johnson, I don't think you really need an introduction, but if you feel like introducing yourself for those who do not know you, please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Evelyn Johnson, and I'm the CEO of In the Beginning Incubator for the last 4 years. That's who I am. Building and birthing, helping businesses get birthed. That's what we do at ITB.
Tell us a little about ITB and what you all do at ITB.
Well, for me, I do more of the writing. I do more of the focus on leadership and those components. It's 3 of us there in the office on a day-to-day basis, Christian, Charnay, and myself. And we offer business support services to startup businesses in their first crucial 5 years of startup. So we help folks get started with the business. We help you scale as you grow, as we grow as well. And we try to include and incorporate as much knowledge that we come across and bring in and expand and offer to our folks. We also offer shared space in our location in West Virginia, in Morgantown, West Virginia. And we also offer mentoring, coaching, all types of things. So we offer a lot to support, not only to help you get started with your business, and our target groups are
Black women, low-income
women, returning citizens, low-income individuals, and rural area individuals, and Native American individuals. We kind of focus on a variety of folks that are basically the ones that are always in that space of trying in an undeserved space. So they need to get more support and more services.
Right. So that is a great introduction. So we have some great news. We have some good news for those of you who have been locked into our social media and our email list. I know some of you are aware that we recently, Ms. Johnson was working on her book, and now today officially the book is out there. It is available for purchase on Amazon. So Ms. Johnson, let's start here. Let's start with what inspired you to write The Blueprint. The name of the book is The Blueprint, correct?
That's correct.
So what inspired you to write The Blueprint?
Well, honestly, we took a trip last year to Dallas to the church that I'm a member of, the Potter's House, to a Good Soil convention. And on the last day, they had a speaker by the name of John Hope Bryant. And Mr. Bryant was on, and he kind of gave a synopsis of how we arrived to 2025 at that point. And that was I believe, just getting into the Trump second presidency, and things was not going terribly crazy at that point economically. But things were at a turning point. It was starting to come into view that we're going to be turning some corners as a community, and the lower income community. People have been successful at pitting individuals against each other based on race. And this really isn't a race where we are right now. Just because it's a person that's not of color or of a different nationality does not mean that we're so different if we're economically in the same boat. So what the presidency to that point was just starting to show, and I believe it was post Obama's era when he became president, that it ignited and infused a sentiment of individuals believing in some type of race war. When the reality of it is, this president, who is now showing it to the extreme, it's more of an economic war that we're in. And so when I was there at the conference, John Hope Bryant started giving us a scenario of the first Reconstruction and all of the things that as a country we've grown through slavery to current day. And so I thought that was very poignant, and I thought it made sense. And so I decided that I wanted to help in this cause, to recreate families and help families recreate. And as a Black woman, of course, I wanted to start with Black individuals and Black families, but this whole process didn't come about just for Black people. It came about for anyone who's not a millionaire at this point and a billionaire at this point, to help you start building what we call generational wealth, which is wealth that it doesn't die when you die. It goes on and it travels through your family line. And so he posed some specific scenarios that this country had grown through and come through, and how his perspective of how we arrived at where we were at that point in time back in 2025 in July. And so I just felt like it was good. And I felt like it was a right thing that he was saying about, how we got here from slavery, that slavery was never about, just because it looked like a black and white thing, it was never a thing about anything except economics. And they used a certain group of people to perpetuate the support and the non-working white people that didn't want to do the work in the fields and didn't want to do the work that it took to maintain the land and to build the land up. But it was all so distorted into a black and white scenario when it was always about economics. It was all, Black people were a number and a price tag, and for a long time, and that was it. It was never about the people per se. It was always about the fact that they could make money off of people. And so what I did in my book, I decided to list his points and to discuss the things that he discussed, but make more of a connection with biblical principles. And so that's what inspired me I wanted to make a difference, and I wanted to affect some change in this in the country. And I knew a book would be able to do that if I did it successfully and I did it correctly.
Right. So your experience in as a CEO, how much has that influenced you writing the blueprint?
It influenced everything. It really, because this has been a journey for our family. Back when we were in COVID, I asked before you graduated for you and Charnay to come and help me start this business. And in order for us to start it, we all had to come into agreement that, you would be working for ITB and that would be it. And so until ITB could afford to pay you, and until ITB we could do what we needed to do through ITB financially, your father had to be part of that conversation. And it wasn't just, I'm just starting a new business and taking money from the household. I was putting 5 people. We literally put the household on one person of 5 for a while. So it was a thing. And so walking through that process is what I saw in building this book. The next steps of what growth looks like for our family, I try to incorporate as much as the experiences that we had as a family, starting this new journey, and what that looks like, and our why as a family and legacy, and what that looked like and what that was. And I don't think at the beginning, when I started writing the book, well, I knew at the beginning of starting write the book, but at the beginning of starting ITB, I wasn't thinking legacy. I was just thinking, I wanted to start a business and I wanted it to be successful and I wanted to do a good job. And I knew I could do a better job with you guys with me.
Right. So you've been to Oklahoma. Tell me about how much your visit to Oklahoma has that also influenced you in, you mentioned history. You mentioned the first the why am I drawing a blank? The first Reconstruction.
Yeah.
And I've heard reference that we're living in the third Reconstruction.
We're getting ready getting ready to go through the third Reconstruction.
I think the second Reconstruction it's been a few Reconstructions, but immediately after the Civil War was the first one. But your experience in Oklahoma, how much did that also kind of influence you in writing the blueprint?
It was a few perspectives. It was post olden days with the Tulsa massacre and all of those things that happened. And actually seeing that, actually going to the museum and experiencing it. And it is an experience because it's an active museum, and it gave voice, and it gave pictures and film of actual scenarios and things that actually happened during that time. And then it also made a connection to Richmond, to Virginia here. It connected some of the why to how modern day Jackson Ward area, has with the erecting of Highway 95 through a corridor that basically shut off Black businesses and so that Black businesses couldn't thrive and couldn't build. And it was things that I thought of, and I kind of remembered vaguely some from school, but the reality of going out there and seeing it and trying to figure out how to help other people in a space that from where we were as ITB, because we were going out there to visit, how could we help and affect change in Oklahoma simultaneously while we're doing things here in Richmond, and even in West Virginia. So it was a thought. But as you know, what really kind of put a something in me that was like, this has got to change. We were stopped. We had gone down to the church, to Dallas, to TD Jakes Church, to the Potter's House, and we had gone down there one Friday when they were filming Hey You with Sarita and Pastor Torre's wife, Sarah. They were filming. And so we went down there, and it was a ladies' event. And so we had dinner and everything, and we were coming back to Tulsa from Dallas, which is about 2.5, 3 hours, 3 hours. And we're following the GPS, just like we followed the GPS going. But this time the GPS took us a different way, because we were coming from, we were going straight into Tulsa, where where we had left, came in from Oklahoma City. And so in a town that I only had read about in books, which was a sundown town. And it was literally a sundown town, which meant after sundown, you're not supposed to be on the streets. And especially if you were a person of color at a certain point, you couldn't be out. And it was in a specific town that was ran and governed by Indian reservation. And we got stopped. And it was the first time that I had been stopped, and I was scared. And I was scared for you. And I was scared because all of a sudden I looked at you, and you had those dreads, and you were driving, and you were really just a Black man in America. And I got really, really, really scared. And so I called your dad, and I said, we're getting stopped, and I need you to stay on the phone. I don't know what's going on. I've never, this is something so new to me, because I don't even think I may have been stopped for a traffic violation, but not on a dark street, not on a dark highway in the middle of the country at all. So the experience was just kind of, it made me realize the color of my skin really is the color of my skin. And the officer was very nice. He was not aggressive or anything. It was just literally the fear.
There was really no reason to pull me over.
Right. There wasn't any reason. We were following everybody else that was following, obviously, the GPS. And the GPS brought us through that specific city.
Right.
And the police officer said, I don't know why they're rerouting, the GPS is rerouting everybody through here. But it was like 4 or 5 cars, and we were the only one that got stopped. We were the only one with out-of-state plates. And I'm pretty sure we were the only 2 that was in the car that was of our color. And after that experience, I didn't think I could make a difference with racial equality and things of that nature, but I wanted the playing field to be a little bit more leveled, and I don't know what that means for me right now today. But I didn't want that feeling ever to come across for me to feel that way. And one part of that was the powerlessness of, I didn't have a lawyer on speed dial. I didn't have resources either. And that kind of threw me off. And so after that, I was like, no, I'm going to be prepared from this point on. And my family's going to be prepared, and they're going to have someone to call in any scenario, and when they're feeling unsafe. So it was a couple of things, and one was completely non-business. and one was very much a space of just, but I know what economics can get you.
Right.
And sometimes it can pay for protection. You know, when you see those shows and they show a, like on Pretty Woman, when she was dressed like a prostitute and she went into the Rodeo Drive store, and the first time they wouldn't help her because she was dressed like a prostitute. And I was like, yeah, because we were looking black. We were very black. But when they cleaned her up and someone vouched for her, and then she went back, then
they got everything she needed.
Yeah, they helped her and did everything. And so I realized that your looks can get you into some doors, but resources can keep you in the door the way you want to be in the door. And so I realized, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do. And I know that comes with generational wealth. And it just so happened to be we were in a big store. We were in a state that Walmart was started in. That family was not too far. Their compound and where that family that started Walmart, we weren't that far from them. And it just, I just was thinking about all of those things. And I'm like, we have to, my husband and I, our family, we need to get in a different scenario situation. And I want my son's life and his son and my grandson. And I was just thinking so much about my grandson at that point. So it was the whole experience of going to Oklahoma, not just one thing, seeing just a different type of lifestyle, seeing a different, like going into a Walmart and not seeing that many people that look like me in there, but seeing a lot of people that look not even like my non-melanated people, but a lot of Hispanic and Native American. Yeah, a lot of brown people versus.
Technically, we brown too, but they just call us black.
Yeah, but we're darker. That's what they think. So we present darker. So, but it was a lot of, it was just a different experience. Just like going to West Virginia is a completely different experience. And I always say, if you don't want to see the bad part of our non-melanated people, you might want to go to West Virginia, because those people that are the white population out there has a tendency to just be very different from the white population, even here in Richmond. They're just a different type of people, and they treat you very differently. And I know it's because of the economics. That
is the main thing, a big thing with it. So what you mentioned, equality, which I think is something that kind of spurred from civil rights and Martin Luther King. I think and somebody had mentioned to me towards the end of Martin Luther King's death and Malcolm X's death, they started to talk more about economics and shifting the conversation from equality to equity, and changing the playing field. Like you mentioned, making the playing field fair. And I think one thing within our community we have been striving for has been trying to be equal. But I think in reality, regardless of your skin color, I think there are some people that are not going to be equal. I think that's just I think that is a reality that we live in, and something that we as Americans, we just have to be conscious of. Equality is possible, in the skin. When you're looking at race and skin, is obviously you shouldn't treat people differently based on their skin color. But you're talking more about economics and financing, which in my head is more aligned in equity, which pretty much just makes everything, if everybody at least has a chance for generational wealth. Everybody at least has the chance and the opportunity to be successful, and it's fair. equality doesn't speak to that, doesn't speak to what equity does, because equity, again, it's like I had seen a picture of what equity looks like and what equality looks like. And equity is when everybody's on the same, trying to watch a baseball game over a fence, but one person is really tall, one person is a child, another person's kind of short. And what equity is, bringing in a box for the kid who's short so he can see the game, and then bringing in a smaller box for the person who can't fully see over the fence so that they can see too, but everybody can still see. If it was equal, then they will all be tall, which isn't possible. But if you at least give everybody the opportunity, the chance to see over the fence and the chance to be successful, then we're moving in a much, in my opinion, a much more realistic position. And I think, like you said, economics is the one thing that I think is a barrier from making things equitable. What do you think about that?
I think it is. And I think it is a distortion of racism that keep people from seeing it as more. This is more of an economic battle than it is a racial battle.
Yeah.
People use racism to pit people against each other, just like socialism and things of that nature. You know, always classism and things of that nature. It always has to be a separation based on something.
Right.
To keep people's mind from seeing that it's really more of it's inequitable, period. So I think it's a distortion. And I think in my book, The Blueprint, which I'm really proud to say, we address it. We discuss it, and we apply biblical principles to it. You know, I have gone through the book, and in the book I write the why and addressing today's challenges that we're in spiritual battles, and for people to be aware. You don't fight spiritual battles by fighting a person per se. You do that with prayer and study and things of that nature, but you also trust and have faith that God is going to bring you to where you're supposed to be, exactly the time point at the time point you should be there. And so the book discusses that process. And what also was going on simultaneously was the Christian faith as modern day, not evangelicals, but the modern day, no matter, Bibles that are out there now that we see and we believe and we listen to and we watch and we read, bringing it to fruition, what's actually in the Bible and how to apply it. So those are the spaces that we kind of go into within this journey of the first reconstructive period. What were we going through spiritually at that time as well? And trying to get people to understand that the big lie and the big liar, we can overcome this if we focus on building our own family generational wealth, because it will affect everyone around you.
So how does that thought process tie into small business? So you talk about entrepreneurship. How does entrepreneurship and business tie into developing generational wealth?
Well, as a family, we learned it. We learned that ITB as a small business could be a lot of the pieces to help build what we want financially. But it also started to do something. It started to give the equity that is not is valued, but it's not always valued. So it started to we started to build, you became your own person in your own right, in your own subject matter area, as well as Charnay did, as well as I do, as well as we still all three do. And our board members and our family members that are having the conversations with us. So the first part was Michael working a regular, normal, stable job and being able to afford for us to make this transition into starting a business. But as we started,
all of us were working prior to that.
Yeah, everybody had a regular, normal job. Charnay worked for the state. Everyone had a job. Well, I was more of a stay-at-home mom, but everyone had regular jobs. And so to leave those things to start ITB was a big thing. So, but how we decided, and I don't think we initially decided for generational wealth at that time. We just wanted to be.
I feel like it was at the same time when you had the conversation with the attorney.
But that came like 2 years later after ITB was started. Oh yeah, okay, I remember. Yeah, at the beginning. You're right.
When you talk to the attorney, I think the idea. I think you had an idea of it, but I don't think you knew the scope of it. That's what I think. I think the idea was there, and obviously that I think that's what any business owner. But I don't think it was in the space of, oh, you just want to get rich quick and have money quick and just have a business just to have money. Now I think you had the idea of, I'm going to law school, and Julian is getting older. And Charnay is still in school, and she's going to be doing either medical or going into some direction, some type of direction. And so I think your idea of that kind of, you might have had a general idea at the beginning, but I think to see what it is now and to see what it's growing into and to see what it's growing into, I think it's blown all thoughts and aspects of what you expected out of the water. Would you say I'm correct?
Yeah, because it was a journey. This was a faith journey, and it was a faith journey from the very beginning. And I got the picture from the Lord to start. I saw what I wanted it to become, and I know what He showed me what it was going to become. But I had no idea how it was going to get there. And all I wanted and all my only perspective was to just do the work and do a good job.
Right.
And so I didn't know. I did. And even to say that I write a book, I didn't know.
Right. I don't think that you saw yourself writing a book. I don't think that you saw yourself being in Tulsa and going to the Black Wall Street Museum and working with Langston. I don't think any of that was a thought. I don't think anything in us seeing Going to Good Soil, I don't think that was a thought. I don't think the Black Wealth Summit we just went to before this past couple weeks ago I don't think any of those were thoughts, but I think it was the Lord aligning you, and especially in your dream and knowing that you've always been an entrepreneur. You've always had businesses and been in business. And, you had the tools. God knew you had the tools. He had given you the tools before you were even put on the earth. And walking it, that's the stuff that He don't be done. That's why it's always crazy when you have a duty to do something, you're supposed to do something, and you have a mission and a goal and a purpose, but you're not fully sure on how that walk actually looks and how it looks daily. And so I think for you and where it is now and where ITB is now and it's the direction that is going into, especially with your book and the generational wealth, which we'll get into. I think that I don't even think that was something that I wasn't expecting that. Were you always intending on this being a message? And it's not only being a message that we're carrying out, but this is a message that, like you said, John Hope Bryant is putting out there at the
Yeah.
Black Wealth. Pastor Jamal Bryant was saying the same thing. And T.D. Jakes has been saying that. Oprah was saying, giving the same, and a lot of speakers that we had engaged with at these conferences, a lot of them were pretty much giving information that we're telling people on a day-to-day basis of this is what's happening, this direction you need to move on to. I don't think that you even knew about that and even understood that that was going to be the trajectory. Am I right? Or
I didn't, but here's the thing. They were all saying it, but they weren't giving us the blueprint. They weren't telling us this is the things that you need to be doing to achieve this. They would tell us, concepts. But for me, I just felt like I really need to just really spell this out for folks. And I need to spell it out for folks in a way that the why motivates you to the why. The why and how we got here and what we, I didn't take the Middle Passage, trade slave and slavery and all of that lightly. I had a conversation with you a couple of weeks ago because it stays in my spirit. Not just conversations. It stays in my spirit. I had read not too long ago that sharks today in 2026 still cruise the Middle Passage, the Middle Passage same route, because that's how many people died and served, and how many sharks ate those individuals, and for so many years that they still traveled that same route today in 2026. And just the fact that two individuals went through that process, made it to slavery, had other family members and things, and made it through, so that today I'm sitting here and your dad is sitting here, and that you and Charnay and Julian are sitting here, and my parents are still sitting here. I didn't think before like this, but I think now, because it's about the legacy. It's about what they powered through. And I'm talking about they did more than powering through. Mm-hmm. They survived through. And so then that meant for me personally, in building ITB and even writing the book and even the generational wealth process, it's my responsibility at this point. It's my job to finish, that I owe them something, that they made it. And so that's the way I looked at it. And then I'm looking around and analyzing the world today, and I see the wealth that's being built by other people, and it's only about the finances. They're not it's not, even with our president current day, it's not about anything from appearance wise that has any substance. It's just literally about the numbers. And so what did his life look like to build whatever wherever he is today? And it didn't just take one thing. It took the real estate. It took working a job. It took entrepreneurship. It took the stock market. It took everything that we're focused on, insurance policies, which most people built their whole family legacy off of insurance policies. And they became their own banks based on insurance policies. Rockefellers, there's a lot of them that did that. So I just took all of those thoughts. I took all of the things that we see modern day millionaires and billionaires, what they don't tell you they value, And I started looking at, but how did you get to where you are? And I decided to come up with this is the toolkit. This is the thing. This is what you need to do. You do need to be an entrepreneur, and someone needs to be working. You do need to be investing in real estate, because real estate is the only thing. It makes you money. It does make you money. Cars don't make you money. Real estate absolutely makes you money. You know, you can write off in taxes and things of that nature. It makes you money even after you purchase it. So analyzing all those things and deciding that this is a blueprint for that type of success. So that's what I created. And that's what I showed, where we come from. And I tried to, within the book, create the necessity and create the glazed over parts of school that we forgot, which would be my age and up, 50s and up, and just show a little brief reminder of the Reconstruction period and all the different phases of what it went into to deteriorate a family's legacy and generational wealth, specifically to do that, you know, and what it took. So, but now let's try to figure out how to rebuild that.
Right. So on top of to piggyback or to not even piggyback, just to bridge to the generational wealth program that we have going, that's about to start. We have an information session this Saturday at 10 a.m. at our office, 919 East Main Street. So
with breakfast.
So tell us a little bit about the program and how the program and your book can be used in tandem as a blueprint.
So the book, The Blueprint, has already garnered informational, okay, what's my next steps? And that was what it was written for. That is really, that's my calling. That's my purpose in life, is to build and help others build. If it's not building the business, it's building your life out. So I know that as a mom, as a wife, I know what my calling now is definitely becoming and starting to come in a little bit more focused for me. The thought process with that was to allow folks to read a book and then want to do something immediately. It discusses voting. I mean, where we're in this fight right now. I wrote this book last year, and when you read it, you're going to think I wrote it today. But I wrote about voting, and I also wrote about civil, and also because all of the small business people and all of the grassroots people that I've run across with ITB, they all bought value. They all bought a value, and they bought a certain specific area of fight that I asked them to come to the table with me and to join. And we teach this course, this 20-week course, and offer this course to community and to churches, because I believe that the fight comes from the church more so than anything else. And if the church is being exactly what it's supposed to be for the community, then it takes the voice and helps the people where the people are. And they're the most grassroots space that operate in. And so that's the thought process behind it. And I'm not doing it by myself. We're not doing it in a silo. We have partners that are coming into the table that are not affiliated at all with ITB. They teach in their own specialty areas. Credit restoration is going to be there with us.
Right.
LISC is going to be there doing some stuff with us for housing and community and all of those types of things. So it's going to be other types of businesses there, but that's their areas that they work in. But they're also very grassroots in it. Their bottom line, they're not making it complicated for individuals. That was one of the things that I said. If you don't have a business degree, but you want to build a legacy for your family and wealth development for your family, what does that look like? And it looked like exactly like my family looked. when we had our first conversation with a wealth manager and a wealth developer as a family. Well, and it took us a year to get to that point. It took us literally 3 years to say, okay, and let's have the conversation. And even my husband, because understand, well, in a space of 3 and 4 different generations, and 4 and 5 generations, including my mom in the conversation and everybody else in the conversation, we all have very different perspectives on money and wealth and legacy. And so getting everybody on the same page to have the conversation was just a feat in itself, which I know, which is why with this program, we spend a month just doing that for families. Just kind of, you got to have a conversation and I realized that it was needed. And through my grandson, Julian, when one day at our old office, he came in the office and I had moved to another office, and we had let Lisa and Olivia move into my old office. And he walked in there and didn't know we had done all of that. And he came to my desk and he whispered to me, "Grandma, why are they in your office?" And I said, "Well, I moved back here so we can have a bigger space." And he said, "This is still our family business, right?" I said, "Yes, it is." He said, "Okay, just as long as they know, just because they in that office, this is not their business." I said, "Yes." And I realized his level of ownership. And we weren't paying attention to him. You know what I'm saying? He's just in the office playing and doing whatever he's doing. But we wasn't paying attention to the fact that he's very much in tune with, this is our business, our family business. And that probably was one of the first legacy thought processes that started for me, when he acknowledged it. And he acknowledged us.
So in other words, what you're saying is the program, the Generational Wealth program, isn't just designed for adults.
No. It starts at 10 and all the way up to the adults. And it's important to do that. Because even today I was talking to someone and they were asking me about it. Actually, somebody in New Jersey, and he was saying, "So you saying you do it as young as 10-year-old?" I said, "Because that's the way we have to guarantee that it goes on, that it carries past us. It can't die with us. It can't die with me and my husband." And the earlier we start this process, even with Charnay and Christian, now we're going to give them the blueprint of how you expand it past you, and how do you bring it into your kids and your wife and your husband and all of that. The why we're doing all of this. And so it's a lot easier to teach 10-year-olds than it is adults to unlearn the things that they've already learned. It's easier. And it when it becomes second nature, that's the space that I wanted to really start operating this process in.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So this weekend, this Saturday, I think y'all should getting people signed up. It's gonna be breakfast, catered by Miss Latias Owens. She's going to be catering breakfast. It's gonna be a bomb breakfast, y'all. I'm actually excited about the breakfast. But we're gonna have that Saturday. That's gonna be Saturday too, and that'll be at our office at 919 East Main Street, in the classroom. And parking is free on the weekend. So if you want to park on the street, you can park on the street for free. Ain't gonna be no problems. And it's just an information session, so everybody is aware of how the 20-week program will work and what all is going to be in the 20-week program. It'll go into, like Ms. Johnson named, housing, credit building, credit, insurance policies, entrepreneurship, business, and there's youth entrepreneurship as well. Just everything that Ms. Johnson just referenced, that things that our counterparts, our non-melanated counterparts, have been doing and know about and have been actually implementing for a substantial amount of time, and versus how we can do it now that we have the information.
And I'm not going to say our non-melanated counterparts. I'm going to say our anybody that's not a millionaire or a billionaire counterpart.
Okay.
That I'm not going there
I
because
wasn't
this
gonna
is
go with
good.
social
I don't care
justice.
who comes to the table. If you trying to build generational wealth, I don't care what your color is, because I feel like we can learn. But the reality of it is the division isn't it. The lie is the division on by color lines.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
The truth is it's a division based on economic lines.
That
and so
is,
once we get past that, you know,
there
we
was
got to
a,
see
there's a
past
quote-
that.
There's a quote for that. If you give somebody an enemy to hate, you can rob them without them knowing, without
Right.
them knowing. So that is if you give people an enemy to hate on somebody for no reason, you just hate
Right.
them for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Whole time you stealing from them.
Right.
You got them distracted and they hating on this group of people or hating on certain people for whatever reason you want to say, and the whole time you're the ones robbing them, giving them stuff, stealing their land, stealing they whatever else they got,
everything. Yeah, when we were just watching
Stealing
Sarah's
their
Oil
jobs,
this weekend. Yeah. When,
right. And that's why West Virginia in particular, it is a very poor. It's like 47th. It's very low as far as like is economic and GDP. It's a very poor state because the individuals that live there, a lot of the individuals, they come from miners and coal miners, so they understand the work and the labor of actually working and doing things. But then with that, you had entrepreneurs and business owners who came in to West Virginia and pretty much took advantage of most of the state and left. They developed their wealth, they developed their money, and just left. So that's why when we engage with individuals that are non-melanated in West Virginia, they don't judge. Their perspective of judgment is a little bit different. They more judge people based on their, who you are as a person and your individual. Like they very against people who come from big cities who just come in and want to work and just
it takes a lot. It takes
you got money
to have a business out there. It
right,
really
it takes a
does.
lot, and it actually takes a lot of community working and community development. You have to actually have buy-in to the community. Even with the school, it's the same way. When they're looking at people to come in and take over new programs and stuff like that, they have to have come from a small town. They have to know small town values and or rural area values and things like that. So
and be comfortable with the handshake.
Right. So that is a very realistic, it's something realistic that goes beyond, like Ms. Johnson said, race and skin color. It's very economic. But when you're being fooled, and I didn't want to go into the billionaire and millionaire class because I really listening to John Hope Bryant talk about it and talk about his perspective as a billionaire. He really didn't mind. He doesn't mind paying his taxes. I think a lot of billionaires and billionaires, they don't mind paying taxes and engaging in civics and voting and doing the things that typical people do on a daily basis. But they do have a problem with, like you said, the politics surrounding it, certain arguments surrounding certain things, when it's coming from a place of fear, trying to fear people into making decisions or scare people into not making decisions. And John O'Brien was very, because he mentioned the left and the right. He didn't just say the right is push. He said you need millionaires and billionaires, because who's gonna work for these people that are running these businesses, these big businesses. And he said you're also going to need worker bees. Right, he said you're still going to need people who are not millionaires and billionaires to actually do work. So AI, all these people that are pushed into virtual, the billionaires that are pushed into everything being virtual and artificial, they're out of touch with actual human reality when you need people, regular people like us and grassroots people to
keep the world turning.
Yeah, keep the world spinning and actually do the work. But you also need people to own these organizations and run these companies. And in our society, that's how capitalism and socialism and all these isms, they have to work. They work in their own way, and they have to mold to benefit the population. Again, we only make up 13% of the population, African Americans. So most of the wealth is not with us. And other thing that he mentioned was there is a wealth shift about to happen. There's going to be a shift in wealth and a changing of wealth, because all of these CEOs, all these entrepreneurs and business owners who are old and the boomers, they're either already retired or they about to pass away. And there's going to be a shift in wealth from all these owners of these companies, and it's a bunch of companies, and don't think of it like every company is run by Jeff Bezos. You have a lot of companies that are $1.2 million, $3 million companies that are valued at $1 million companies, but aren't like $1 billion companies, but are $1 million companies that have a substantial buy into the community, that have a lot of employees working for them. And these CEOs and these elderly individuals are about to be done.
Transition on out.
The transition, right? It's going to be a transition as well. So they're about to transition, and you're going to get
not a lot of people that can step in,
right,
to those roles,
right,
because that has the ethics and the foresight to protect and understand the gravitas of what the weight of having a $1 million company means to the community.
Or the drive. They may not even have the drive they may not even want to. They don't even have the passion. They don't even want to run these businesses. So, and that's your next generation. So you have individuals in your generation that are going to be handed businesses through whatever it is, how they have it written, through wills, trusts, whatever, any articles of however they do it, however it gets passed down is how it gets passed down. But you're gonna have organizations and businesses that get passed down to people that don't want to run these businesses. So they're either going to close the company and somebody else is gonna buy it, or they're gonna merge with another company, or they're gonna run it and not know how to run it. It needs somebody to help them run it.
And then run it into the ground.
Yeah, run it to the ground. Right.
Yeah,
so and all that wealth from all these companies is gonna transition to somebody. So all that money has to go somewhere. And I think
it's gonna be voids. It's gonna be holes and voids. And I see one of Miss Ellen saying economics and education. That is gonna be the key. That's going to be so pivotal to having the knowledge and understanding how much knowledge is at our fingertips right now, and how to apply it, but also economics, education, and wisdom. I think that is a key one too. Wisdom, because these folks are going to be transitioning out, but having enough wherewithal and knowledge to know that, but I still need you at the table. You don't have to come to work every day. You don't have to do everything that you were doing before, but I'm gonna need to talk to you about some things that, I'm going to run into. And I don't think we're at that stage yet. I need help. Mm-hmm. And I think that's my biggest thing with you and Sharnae, with the family business, and even expanding. Now you all have expanded into your own business. But understanding the value of what I still bring to your table, and I still understand the value that you guys bring to my table. And for the biggest part is when I got sick, you were there to step in and not really miss too many beats, because you're young and you're energetic and you still can do these things. And so, the value of wisdom and hindsight, being able to see and receive, and like you said, ask for help.
Right. And one day I was talking to our cousin about wisdom and why they call the wisdom tooth the wisdom tooth. They call the wisdom tooth because before, a long time ago, people didn't live past like 30 years old. We were dying. So as people got to a certain point where they got older and had time for their wisdom tooth to develop, that was the only time where people would know, oh, it's a tooth that you need to get out. So I'm going to tell my child, oh, you need to get that tooth out. And the only way you would know about the wisdom tooth is if somebody in an older generation told you you're going to have a tooth come in and you need to get that tooth out. The wisdom tooth. That's why they call it the wisdom tooth, because you only find out about it through wisdom of an older generation that's lived longer than you. So I definitely think the wisdom part is important, especially while and as we are transitioning. It is definitely a shift happening. It's a shift happening within our community. It's a shift happening within a lot of communities that are picking up on this message, and now is the time. So if you still are on the cusp and you don't even know where to start, get the book. Get the book. Order the book. You can order the book on Amazon. Pre-order the book on Amazon. I have to get the link, but I'm going to send it out on our email list, and I'll be posting it on our Facebook page, the actual link, so you all can purchase the link, purchase off of Amazon and pre-order it. Well, it's a how many page? A 126 page book, I think, is what it is.
I don't know how many pages. I haven't seen my own personal copy yet. I'm waiting for mine to come in, and this is the pre-stage. So we haven't done any formal announcements or anything.
Right. And so we didn't do it. So Ms. Ellen said this is, in other words, the blueprint. The blueprint actually provides a strategic plan or written outline written in a way that is easily understood and therefore is easy to apply. This is not easy and requires work. That is definitely true. It's not. None of this is easy. None of it is easy.
It is. That's why it's the blueprint.
The book is easy. The book will be easy to understand. That's the only thing that's going to be easy.
It's pretty easy to understand.
It's pretty easy to read.
It's really practical, and it needed to be that way.
Right.
But it explains situations in a way that's biblically based, and also exposing where the devil is in that process, and also how we overcome that.
Right.
So yeah, it is. It's definitely, it is a blueprint. It is literally the blueprint. It's not my personal story. People were asking me because I actually sent my first cousins, Tiffany, Tasha, and Kendall, a copy of my book last year. And I was like, tell me what y'all think. And they, gave me some great feedback. And then Tiffany happened to be here when I had decided to start also writing my personal kind of memoirs about my life and my life experiences. And today when I was talking to her, she was like, so which book is this? Is this the book? And it was so funny. I said, I did not publish that book. This is not my personal story book. This isn't that book. That book I probably won't ever read, because the second one I won't, because it'll just be ready to go when I'm on upon my death probably. But other than that, yeah, this is the book for the blueprint. This is the book for the movement. And that's what it was written for. That's really what it's written for. And I pray that churches gravitate towards it. Economic development opportunities are presented. And so we over time, Christian. We 4 minutes over. And I would be fussing at you if I wasn't on here.
Right. One other thing is the book release. I know we were talking about a book signing event. And I think are we talking about that? Or are we doing?
Not yet.
So we don't got nothing finalized yet, but okay.
We got some invites. So we're going to be proud of that.
We're going to be doing a few book signing events coming up soon in different areas, different places, different regions. Let's just say that, different regions. So you can order your book again. Order it is on Amazon. It is called The Blueprint. I will have all of the links and everything because this has been it. Charnay just kind of emailed us and said the book is done. So
Right.
done. She was working on it all. And this was like at 1 o'clock in the morning. She just texted the book is done. It's on there and it's ordered and you can order it. It is there. You can order it. We've already had people pre-order it. At least I think 5 people have said they pre-ordered their books or pre-ordered a few of the books. The book is only $25. It's a softback book, right? It's not a hardcover book.
Yeah.
Paper book.
That was Charnay's part.
Right.
I did the writing. Christian did editing. And just looked through, and Charnay did the publishing,
right, and the margins,
which was and all of that. So that
which was the longest process,
right? Which and the hardest,
right?
And so I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the team.
So that is out and it is available. Again, you'll be able to order the book. I have it on our Facebook page for you to just click the link. And on our Instagram, you just click the link and go straight to the book and order it because we're going to be pushing this out for the rest of the month. So
for the rest of the summer.
For the rest of the summer, yeah.
And we still have our classes. We still have ITB Academy.
It's so much, right. It's so much.
And we still have weekly webinars and other things.
We had a
CPR class. Yeah. So we're going to have a lot more stuff going on. But this is going to take precedence coming up in the fall.
Yeah, and this will definitely lead into our event in October, our conference in October, and which we're hosting our own. So we are very excited about this. So please sign up. Please sign up on our website. If you don't know, now you know. If you don't know, go to our website and sign up for Saturday's event. It is at 10 o'clock in the morning. It is in person, no cost. It is in person. Unfortunately, it is only in person, but the classes will be hybrid. Hybrid. They'll be in virtual and in person. So if you want to sign up for it and you want to get a good practice and you want to learn some information about generational wealth and breaking generational curses, you can go to our website at inthebeginningcode.com and you can RSVP on our homepage for the generational wealth building program information session. You can also sign up on Eventbrite. If you want to sign up through Eventbrite, you can go to our Eventbrite and sign up via Eventbrite as well. There's different ways you can sign up and RSVP, just as long as you all RSVP and sign up so we can have a head count and we know how many people are going to be there. So, did you have any closing thoughts, Ms. Johnson?
No, thank you so much.
I want to thank Jesus.
Yeah, he's kind of key.
Thank Jesus for all of this because we wouldn't be able to do this without him and without his presence all over this process and all over ITB and everybody connected to ITB. So I want to thank him. I want to thank our guests for joining us today. Thank you for liking and sharing. Can get this message out. If you're watching now, please share this live. This is a very important live. This is probably the most important live we've done. I would say this is very, very important. It's very pivotal. It's shifting a lot of ideas, shifting a lot of thoughts. People are moving into certain places where they didn't know information, and now they're gaining information and they're getting empowered. So I want to thank you all for joining tonight. Please like it and share it. If you want to start your business and you want to take your steps into the blueprint, I guarantee you one of the steps is going to be owning a business and running a business. So whatever business you want to get into, whatever space you want to get into, if you're sitting on an idea, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Give us a call at 804-468-8141. And if we don't reach back within 24 to 48 hours, please email us at info@inthebeginningcode.com, or you can email our operations officer at Charnay@inthebeginningcode.com. So please like and share this and send this out to as many people, friends, and families as everybody as you can so they can all get the message. We appreciate you all for joining tonight. We thank you and we love you all. And I'm going to say what my pastor said. He said, I love y'all and there's nothing you can do about it. So thank y'all and have a great night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for today's In the Beginning Incubator webinar. We hope you found inspiration, valuable insights, and practical strategies to apply to your own entrepreneurial journey. But the learning doesn't stop here. We invite you to join us again next Tuesday for another powerful session where we'll continue to spotlight incredible entrepreneurs and share knowledge that can help take your business to the next level. If you enjoyed today's webinar and found it valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Spread the word. Let others know what you learned and invite a friend, colleague, or fellow entrepreneur to join us next Tuesday. Once again, we appreciate you for being part of the In the Beginning Incubator community. Keep striving, keep growing, and we'll see you next Tuesday.